Hello everybody and welcome back to another visual pattern challenge. Here's our pattern today. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, and your challenge is, well, in this case, not to predict the number of dice, but to predict the sum of all the exposed numbers. So for example, in this first die, there's a 6, a 4, and a 5 that we can see, but also the 2 and the 3 and the 1 would be exposed as well. You can turn this object and add all those together and tell what you get. So your challenge would be to do that for step 4, and if you can do that, to try to do it for step 43, and to see if you can come up with an equation that could be used to predict the sum of all the exposed numbers of any step at all. So that's the challenge. If you'd like to accept it, pause the video, see what you can do. All right, we did a challenge somewhat similar to this before, where we looked at what the exposed numbers would add up to. And just as a reminder, in case you missed that one, I want to take a look at this die. You know, a die is made up of three sets of pairs of sides. So here's the 2. On the back of that, if we go all the way to the opposite side, you have a 5. That adds up to 7. If we look at the 1 side, opposite of that, you have a 6, also adds up to 7. And if you look at the, if you look at the 3 side, on the back of that is a 4, also adds up to 7. So there are these 3 pairs of sides that add up to 7. So on a single die, that'd be 3 7s, or 3 times 7 is 21. So the sum of the exposed numbers on a single die is 21. So that's a good thing to know, and I think that'll help us. Although I'm not sure we're going to actually do a chart to analyze the numbers today, because it looks like these are going to get pretty unwieldy, and I think we can solve it with another method. But we know this one at least, step 1, the sum is 21. Let's look at step 2. What happens in step 2? Well, what I notice is that, you know, in step 1 we have 1. In step 2 we have 8 dice here. So it looks like the number of dice is the step number cubed. That is not what we're looking for, though. We can't just cube 4 to get the sum of the numbers. Let's look what happens in step 2. When we cube the number of dice, we actually square the number of numbers. So we have 1 5 here, we have 4 5s in the next step. In step 3, we have 9 5s. So each number is kind of on a square, one of the square sides of this set of dice that make this cube. So the numbers then are going to be the step number squared times all the numbers on the face of a die. I don't know if that made sense, but let me show you what I think step 4 would look like. We would have then 16. So this cube now would be 4 by 4 by 4. So we would have 16 5s, and we would have 16 4s. So in fact, it would be, we know that this is a sum of 21. If we add all these up, it would be 16 times 21. And this is a formula we could use, this times 21, for any of these steps. We have 4 faces here in step 2. 4 times 21 would give us what the sum of the numbers is here. And here we have 9. We'd have 9 times 21 would give us the sum. So for step 4, it's going to be 16 times 21, which is 336. All right, so I'm predicting 336 for step 4. What about step 43? Well, this number is just the step number squared. So another way to write what I'm doing here is 21 times the step number squared. And that should give us the sum of the numbers. Let me prove to you that this works. So in step 1, that would be 21 times 1 squared. Well, 1 squared is just 1 times 21 is 21. And we've already shown that there are 3 7s here, those opposite sides adding up to 7, so that's 21. How about in step 2? So that'd be 21 times 2 squared. So 2 squared is 4. We have 4 5s, 4 4s, 4 6s, etc. So those numbers are going to add up to 21, but then we have to multiply them by 4. So I hope that's making sense to you. I think that's our equation, y equals 21 times x squared. And now to calculate that for step 43, we're just going to plug 43 in there. So we have 21 times 43 squared. So that's 21 times 1849, which my calculator says 38,829. So 38,829 in step 43. Well, how did that go for you? Did you see this pattern right away, or was this a little difficult and confusing? Did you get 336 for step 4? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.